This is the most magnificent discarded living room set I've ever seen.
I'm going to die as I was falling out.
Steep hillside with a chainsaw. I said, never again.
And I was trying to stand my ground and dig into the hillside.
Mountain man, redneck, caber toss.
And Dad started banging around on stuff with his claw hammer.
Hi, welcome to Comedy Parenting Radio. My name's Jerry Begley, and boy, are we cranked up here in the studio. Welcome to our listeners from Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, Saudi Arabia, Sweden, and Poland. This is the only show that pops Jiffy Pop popcorn one kernel at a time on a stick over an open fire.
Hey, Dad.
What?
Can I put 2 pieces of popcorn on my stick?
Well, okay, don't go too crazy. Today, we're going to be talking about how we gather firewood, number 2. Second week was better. We'll be right back.
Guess who needs to laugh the most? Your dentist. Day after day, they look into mouths of people with rotten teeth and bad breath. Give your dentist a breath of fresh air by sending them a copy of Dad the Tooth Fairy Didn't Come, and soon they'll be reclining in the chair and you'll be running the drill. To pick up your copy, send $20 check or money order to Tooth Fairy, 400 Prospector Trail, Marble, Colorado, 81623. That's Tooth Fairy, 400 Prospector Trail, Marble, Colorado, 81623.
Captain, I must inform you, you're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio.
If you want to drive a big limousine, I'll buy the longest one you've ever seen. I'll buy you tall, tall trees and all the waters in the seas. I'm a fool for you. If you want to own a great big mansion.
Okay, we're talking about picking up firewood for Chalet Begley. This last week was better than the week before. Is that not right?
By about 800 times, yes.
We didn't get drenched, and I didn't look like a little green mushroom.
Well, I didn't freeze, so I guess that's a plus.
Yeah, and we got twice as much wood as the week before. But it wasn't a perfectly smooth day because on the way down the hill we had problems with the chainsaw, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. The chainsaw was in the trailer that was behind us, and we were going down the road, and our road is very bumpy, so the chainsaw was bouncing feet up in the air.
You know, now that I think about it, the bungee cord was probably pulling it up in the air like a bungee.
Honestly, I don't know why you guys were trying to hold something in place using a bungee cord. Those things are made to stretch.
So we got up to our firewood cutting spot, and boy, did you guys come up with an idea.
Yep.
Well, first things first, we cut down this absolutely enormous tree.
Oh, right. The big bad boy tree.
The really big bad boy tree. It was a 50-foot tall tree, at least. It spanned several decades, and we chopped it down in about 5 minutes.
Guys, it sounds like you're cutting down a very old tree, so...
It was a very old tree. Why do you ask?
The tree is only 3 years old.
Well, when Dad was dropping the tree, he was cutting on it, and when it was dropping towards a whole bunch of little trees, and they're really close together, and when it dropped, it got so close to taking down a tree, I was surprised. Like, it took off the branches, but didn't take down the tree.
It stripped the branches of the little tree.
Yep.
On one side.
Well, we loaded up the big tree into the trailer, and we went back up the road a bit, where we were getting in the trees, and I said that I had a tree that I wanted to pull down.
No, you had a brilliant idea.
I had a brilliant idea to pull a tree that I had seen down onto the road.
And so we got up to there, and Elijah started running back and forth looking for this tree, and lo and behold, the tree was not there.
I got up and walked away.
It was abducted by pirate beavers. But while Elijah was looking around for that tree, I found another tree and started dragging that out of the woods and down onto the road. you were asking us why we should do this since we couldn't find Elijah's thing. And I said, the prestige?
And Josh was trying to get a tree that was incredibly heavy and kind of stuck to the ground. So I was on one end pulling on it as hard as I could, and he was on the other side pushing, and
Pushing and lifting.
Yeah. And we finally got it out of there onto the road. And then Josh and I just started taking entire trees and dragging them down out of the forest onto the road.
You got to understand that this hillside is extremely steep that you were on.
The logs were stuck into the ground, and they were incredibly hard to drag, even with the gravity downhill.
Yeah, there was one tree we had to basically bash apart its connection to the stump using a maul just to be able to get it to move at all. But we did get it moving. That was the largest tree we pulled out.
So I'm at the bottom with these trees sliding down the mountain toward us, and Josiah's down there with me. We're trying not to get stabbed by trees coming off the hillside. And I cut them up with the chainsaw as they're at a slant angle, and Josiah is loading the whole trailer all by himself.
He's running back and forth like a busy little beaver.
The one funny thing was, Dad needed some help cutting up the tree. So when I was dragging it down, it started to slide and push me off towards the edge. And I was trying to stand my ground and dig into the hillside.
I'm yelling at him for stop pulling the tree down. I didn't realize the tree was pushing him across the road, and he almost went off the cliff on the other side.
I was probably about 16 inches away from the edge.
Honestly, you should have just dropped the tree.
In hindsight, he found out that's what should have happened. But when you're wrestling trees on the mountainside, hey, you got to show that tree a thing or two.
Yep.
Like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm not going to get shoved off the edge.
You're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio, a better week of cutting firewood. We'll be right back.
Comedy.
Parenting.
Radio.
Ranger Station.
Hi, I want to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My front door. It was Smokey Bear. My husband was burning leaves in the yard. He just came inside for a second.
Never leave a fire unattended. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
Smokey said that too.
We go way back. I knew him when he was just a cub.
How cute.
If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
You ever go to Payless shoe store? Yeah, I mean, they're okay. They're okay if you go in the morning when it's still sort of organized. But if you go in the afternoon, it looks like the Three Stooges had a shoe fight in there. Lids and boxes and shoes are thrown all over the place. You could walk out with a new pair of shoes on. Nobody would notice or care.
We pulled down a lot of different trees down there, didn't we, Elijah?
Yeah, I think we pulled down close to 12 trees.
And we chopped them all up and got them all in the trailer. But there was this one tree that was very difficult to get out. Besides the one that we had to besides the one we had to knock away the stump for. It required Elijah to lift one end and me to lift the other, so we were both lifting about, 300 pounds? Something like that. And then we had to seesaw it around another tree that was blocking it, and then carry it down the hill, and then roll it. And, did I mention this hillside has lots of thorns on it?
Lots of thorns.
It's covered in rose bushes.
I picked up the tree, I was swinging it around, and then I set it down, and a thorn bush came up and smacked me right in the face.
2 weeks prior to this, when we were up there cutting, and I was on that steep hillside with a chainsaw, I said, never again.
True to his promise, he didn't go up this time. He stayed down on a firm road ground,
waiting for trees to drop from the sky.
They brought the fight to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, another thing we did was I would sometimes drag the rest of the little trees up to the trailer and set it in there, and Dad would cut it in the trailer.
Yeah. A tree that enjoyed particularly was one that was on a particularly steep portion, and also it was a smaller tree. So I stood it up on end and then shoved it over, and then it went end over end for one half of a revolution down the road, and then it landed on the road just with one revolution.
Sort of like a mountain man redneck caber toss.
Pretty much, yeah.
I was actually thinking about that when I was trying to pick up the tree and bring it back down onto the road.
Yeah, it was. I think I got about an 8 when I did that.
You got about a 1.
Okay, it's Comedy Parenting Radio. We're talking about chopping trees. This last week was a little bit better. We'll be right back.
Sure, humans can be a little weird at times, but take it from me, I'm a dog. And a person is about the best thing that can happen to a shelter pet. So if you want to learn how you can be that person, get down to your local pet shelter or visit theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You're listening to Comedy Parenting.
Stop imitating Fezzik, and I mean it.
Does anybody want to do that?
Superman got nothing
We're back.
So after we got all of the trees loaded and cut and onto the trailer, then we decided that we'd had enough for today and it was time to go back to the house, right?
Well, I know I had enough for the day.
I had more than enough for the day.
Then we all get in the Jeep and we head down the road, but we had to turn around. So we drove down the road, drove past the shed that we had tied in last week. We got past the shed just like only 5 feet, and then we stalled.
The Jeep just stopped.
The Jeep died.
So we popped the hood open.
And Dad started banging around on stuff with his claw hammer.
No, I checked the fluid.
Yeah, you checked to see if we were getting gasoline to the carburetor, which we were, we found out.
A carburetor is a part on an old car.
A lot like a mirror, except for different. And we had plenty of gasoline, so it had to be electrical, probably the solenoid. And I've hot-wired that Jeep many times across the solenoid.
Mm-hmm.
So then what happened?
Well, I needed some wire to hot-wire it.
You need some hot wire.
Well, I cannibalized a wire off of the heater.
At the price of our heat, he tried to fix the Jeep.
Get it? Hot wire?
Yeah.
But before I hooked it all up, I thought, what should we try?
We should try to restart it one last time.
Yep. And I said, if the Jeep starts, slam the hood shut, throw the tools in the Jeep, and jump in, and we'll get out of here.
And lo and behold,
and the Jeep started.
Mm-hmm. So both Josiah and Joshua ran to the Jeep and left me to grab both the tools and shut the hood. So I shut the hood. I grabbed the tools, shut the hood, threw the tools into Josiah's lap, and Joshua was already in the Jeep, and he said go. And I was trying to clamber into the back of the Jeep, and Dad took off, and I went falling out, and Dad stopped, and I was like, as I was falling, I was like, uh-oh, I'm going to die, as I was falling out. But Dad stopped, and I was able to clamber back in.
Did you really think I was going to run over you with a trailer full of wood?
No, I didn't, but at the second I was falling, I was thinking I was going to die. I was like, that's it. I'm done for.
And we drove pell-mell back up the road.
Yep. And hoped that we didn't have to stop the Jeep anywhere.
Not really anywhere at all, yeah. So,
Might I add, this was the last load we had to do for the year for wood.
Oh, yeah, we think. But we drove like crazy, clear through Marble and back up to our house, with Dad speeding up in a few spots so that we wouldn't have to stop the Jeep at all. But we got down to the bottom. And
bottom of what?
Of our driveway, where we have our wood shed.
Yeah.
And then we started chucking wood over the sides of the trailer.
And I would say that was a pretty successful wood gathering time.
And then afterwards, we went in and we all took showers.
We got our nice clothes.
And we went to Slow Groovin' Barbecue Restaurant in Marble, Colorado.
And had boot beer.
Right before their closing time. But they have really good ribs.
I'll have the Megatron sandwich. Bye-bye.
I'm sorry, this is the fun bee. The humdrum bee is back there.